floods, living with droughts. And again, just some of the pictures here on the bottom. You've got the women lining up for water in Gujarat. Now that, when they introduced those infrastructure, those new infrastructure technologies, then women no longer have to wait in that long line. And I think the other one is also from here. So the next steps, collaboration with key stakeholders, the Global Green Growth Institute, and I think we have a representative here. OECD, Callum is working for them right now. UN Water, I used to be part of UN Water. UNEP, SCAP, you're going to hear from the representative of SCAP soon. They've taken this water and green growth as one of their policies. National governments, NGOs, and others. We're looking towards the steering committee of the World Water Council, high-level panel, and of course the results of Rio Plus 20, which Dr. Park mentioned, World Water Week, Korea Water Forum, IUCN, IWA. IWA is coming up next week in Busan in 2012, and then we want to refine this framework that we mentioned. I just gave the bare outlines of the framework, but that needs to be refined. People have to find out whether it works, and how to introduce it and how to refine it. And then hopefully by 2015, when we have the 7th World Water Forum here in Korea, it will have matured and been refined so that people can actually use it and have faith in it. So thank you for your attention. Here are some URLs of the 4 partners. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Usually I'd like to offer the opportunity for you to ask 1 or 2, 3 questions now, but I'm aware that we have to start late. So if you have questions, please remember them, and we will get to them at the end, I promise. But I think it's best if we move on to the next presentation straight away. The next speaker is Salma Zakaria, who is a qualified civil engineer and currently working as a water specialist in the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, so UNESCAP. And has 30 years of experience working with the Malaysian government on water-related issues. So, Salma, if you'd like to.
First of all, I'd like to thank Chloe Walton for inviting me here. And I've been actually asked to talk on water and green growth in developing countries. And so that's a perspective that I'm bringing. Also, of course, some things, what SCAP is doing, very little on that because since the title is in developing countries, I'm repeating some of those slides of Ganesh and Marcia, and I'll just skip that through. But it does say that when we look at the details, I don't think we differ very much. So I'll be talking on this, my messages, and green growth, SCAP will cover green growth, and water and growth itself, how I see it, and the nexus and others, as well as the interpretation of WGG in the different countries. I'm not very good at this. I was taught, but I'm still not good. The messages. I think we all know that water is finite. There are numerous case studies where results are still isolated. And I hear oftentimes, every now and then, agencies that are dealing in specific areas saying that they have less and less water. For example, FAO. They keep talking about having their endowment and water being reduced. There's no such thing as being reduced. We just have to share what is finite with more people. We are now already 7 billion, we are going into 9 billion soon enough. If water and green growth is managing water in an integrated, holistic manner and have the elements of environment, economics and social sustainability, then it is perhaps not something new, but renewed, rebranded, reinvigorated. Something that we need to tell us about things again and again. And if WGG and its hybrids must be implemented at country and local levels, there is a need to bridge this communication divide. The rhetorics they were talking here and the reality in the field. Can we look at potential water green growth storyboards, the various aspects of storyboards? Because we are talking about various groups. So let's look at the definition of it. 1989, we have David Pearce and groups and friends talking about sustainable development, including providing a bequest to the next generation, at least to that inherited by the current generation. We move on to GWP IWRN, which is outcome of the Rio 1992, GWP, World Water Council, World Water Forum, that came out, I think, of Rio 1992. And they talk about maximizing the resultant economic and social welfare in an equitable manner without compromising the sustainability of vital ecosystem, looking at IWRN as a process. UNEP's green economy also look at carbon, low carbon, resource efficient, socially inclusive. OECD's academics looking there, but these are what I pick up. Ensuring that the Earth's natural assets continue to provide the resources and environmental services on which our well-being relies. And ASCAP, of course, we simplify that to say low carbon, socially inclusive, and ecological base. 2012, I just found the green economy. I like it because it ties to the pockets of the people. But the details don't seem to be very much different. The economic paradigm in which water sustainability is rewarded, because we all know, and we must make the government know, that water fuels the global economy and the national economy. And we need to reduce demands through conservation, efficiency, reuse, and the replenishment. I think all the four has been talked about by the speaker before me. The issue is, are we speaking the same language? Because we are from water side, we are from environment side, and coupled with that, we really speak different languages. In the developing world, you can count by hands who are really conversant in the English language. If you look at this definition, they may just look at it and say, what are they trying to do? It's an international organization, giving us so many things so very closely together. So we need to be able to understand the problem that developing world are facing. So there are many definitions. I'm just asking again, are these matters of semantics, real differences, or required energizers? And how do the developing world digest these and implement them? Maybe we are very happy, we know what we're talking, but we are not the one that are implementing. The one that are implementing at the local level. So they have generally minimal grasp on the English language. I'm talking about the leaders, I'm not talking about experts. Many just came out of destabilizing environment. You talk about Cambodia, you talk about African countries, you talk about Myanmar, and the focus are on developing basic needs. Can we look at how water and green growth can be used? We may not be asking a lot of things, but if we can help them, then they don't have to go to clean it up later when they are developed. There are also those who are autocratic with very few technical leaders that can quickly understand the technical issues. Actually, my friends and I, we look at Singapore and China, and we found out that 30 to 50% of their political leaders are also technical expertise, so they move very fast. Is water and green growth a subset of all this? There is also the multiple urgent critical water securities beyond water supply and sanitation, because the focus has been on water sanitation to the developing countries. We know that it's more than that, but in developing countries, the MDGs is water and sanitation. And what can international organization do to help organize things? ASCAP came up with these Asia-Pacific hotspots, looking at 10 critical areas, and the red one are the one that has more than 6 Yeah. And this was produced in the World Water Development Report, the pages of that. SCAP Green Growth, our 5 tracks of SCAP low carbon green growth roadmap, improving the quality of growth and maximizing net growth. I think that goes in line with what we're talking just now. Changing the invisible structure of the economy, and this includes natural infrastructure. Changing visible structure of the economy, and this includes the built infrastructure. Turning green into a business opportunity, the blue economy that someone was talking just now, and formulating and implementing low carbon development. This is so very important if you want to arrest the climate change impact. We already have the climate change impact now because of what has happened in a higher carbon development previously. So water and green growth. This is from Global Water Partnership. The one that is in bold and italic, I added on. Because as I say, we are in different environment, different situations, we remember certain things, we forget certain things. So when you are talking about technological improvements, I won't go to the rest because we repeated that. And integrated approaches to water management and also improve efficiency of water use. Someone remember rainwater harvesting, but that's rain harvesting not only in small tanks in the urban side. We've been doing that for generations, dams and reservoirs. In all households and urban floods to be managed, and to understand how they can actually retain the detention ponds so that they can reduce the floods, urban floods impact. The use of information technology, more efficient irrigation systems. You're working in irrigation, you think about more irrigation efficiencies of irrigation system. You're working in the water supply, you tend to forget about irrigation system. We're talking about Asia. 80% of surface water goes to irrigation, Asia Pacific. And if you can improve the 1% of the irrigation system, that's a lot more volume than 1% of water supply efficiency system. Now, water recycling, it is not only in industry but also in agriculture, and the need, I think it was mentioned again, that treated water before it is released, wastewater before it's released into the environment needs to be fully treated, because otherwise we cannot recycle and reuse it for the other services that we need. Then of course it's stormwater and thermal management. Marcia has shown this. Ganesh talked on this. But the important reason that SCAP is going into this is because, you look at water from energy. 80% of the surface water in Asia is used for food. 40% of national energy is on agriculture. So we don't have a choice. We have to look at them together because one will affect the other. Water, food, energy nexus, it's the new kid on the block. Ganesh says 3 years ago, but I think it started in 2007 at the World Economic Forum in Davos. It's really heating up. I think it's picking up so fast, and we are having a series of programs in SCAP. We'd like to invite others to join us. But there are some others, new and not so new initiatives, but so essential for implementation at local level. Integrated national physical plans. Have we ever, developing countries, have you ever look at that possibility? And when you do that integrated national physical plans to include river basin master plan in that. Integrated flood plan for the whole basin, not just for the urban side, like the flood waters in Menang Chao last year, 2011. Integrated urban waters, to integrate water supply and wastewater flash flows. How do you look at that? And integrated agriculture water management is just not supplying water to the field, it's also looking at the soil water continuum so that we can have better yield production. So there are so many case studies in the developing world on the water side. GWP toolbox, you can serve that. SCAP low carbon, we have 50 case studies, some on water and green growth. UNWDPC, we have 10 chapters, is part of UN Water, and SCAP is part of UN Water. I contribute a chapter. OECD, this is what Marcia was talking, 26 case studies. I'm going to skip this because Marcia has done it. So there are many case studies. But there are other related reports. In Asia Pacific, I was part of the group that prepared the report on IWN progress. And if you look at the definition of good progress, some progress, initial progress, I think it was focused on how to report, what to report at the Fourth World Water Forum. Is it something relevant to the developing country? ESCAP's efforts to look at monitoring investment and results on water resources since the first Asia Pacific Water Summit has been very, very difficult. We don't have good information. The second Asia Pacific Water Summit is coming next year, I hope. Now, why do we continue to have critical problems in water management in these developing countries? We know that some are coming out of a crisis situation, but how about the others? They are at developing countries are at various levels of development. So is it a question of leadership that it requires different treatment, awareness, different treatment, the communication that we are doing with international organization, with national organization. So, these are the things. That Rio Plus 20, the outcome, the future we want, the document, it continues to focus on the development agenda, focus on multi-sectoral integrated approach, to break the focus on silos, and to come up with a balanced approach with more focus on social equity. What is new from Rio Plus 20, which we can capitalize, strategize together, is bottom-up consultation from member countries on what is needed. MDG was top-down, and there was a lot of, I think, awareness campaigns, things like that. Adding on resilience and shared equity to inclusiveness and sustainability, and strengthening the mandate of the 5 regional commissions. This is where I'm requesting that the member countries take advantage of this, and international organizations take advantage of this, the mandate that the UN Secretary General wants to strengthen for regional commissions. So we need to merge the development initiative to lead to sustainable development goals. I think we've talked on the details again and again. But we also need to revisit the multi-sectoral national and federal development plans. Do we understand what it's all about? Because these countries have different areas to focus. That we need to include, besides the government policies, the capacity building, the advocacy and awareness, which are very familiar with, the physical planning from the very beginning. Then, of course, the subset of the national physical planning to me is the river basin planning. We need to analyze end-to-end development initiatives of these member countries. Where will the waste go when we finally are not wanting it anymore? How do we recycle it? Can the waste be minimized? These are issues that we can help. I'm suggesting that international organizations come up with a seamless water in green growth storyboard or storyboards. Can the development and implementation of WDG be presented in a seamless storyboard or multiple storyboards on how to manage it? Because pictures and visuals speak 1,000 words, and I'm sure that's why we have a video after it. It can also be edited, updated, and changed with new layers included along the way. Can the storyboard include other related components of developments besides what we're used to? Include transport and trade within the water green growth story, because transport and trade tend to be quite polluting to the water. So that we can explain the breaking of silos and explain the meaning of all inclusive to developing countries. If this is something that we can accept, so where do we start? Thank you.
Thank you, Salma. I'd just like to make if I may, I'm really sorry, I'd like to make a brief clarification. What we refer to as the OECD report for the Sixth World Water Forum was actually the report that was produced by the World Water Council with the Korean government. The OECD was not actually want to deal with this, but there's some confusion because I'm currently working with the OECD. Sorry about that. And there's more information on that. So we have one more speaker, and then we'll move on. There's a brief video, and then we'll move on to the panel session and questions and answers. So our final speaker is Dr. Kyung-Jin Min, who's the director of K-Water, the K-Water Economic Research Center. And he's going to be talking about a bit more about this project and the Korean perspective on water and green growth. So it's probably best if I just hand over straight away.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Young Jin from Daegu. Actually, I started involving in this project from the second phase, so I'm in a position to rewrite this project and also to implement second phase study. Actually, we presented this presentation in Stockholm Water Week and also Suncheon International Water Forum 3 days ago. We got some lessons from those forums. Many said we need to some strategies to implement our project in the real world, and also how to communicate with experts and also lay peoples and also policymakers. That's the basic questions of